Hello, welcome back. This week, many people are starting to prepare for classes next semester, and one of the choices that you make in preparing for a new class is which textbook to use. And one of the things that I hope you'll take a moment to consider is the idea of using an open educational resource. Now, an open educational resource is a resource that's meant for educational purposes, obviously, that is generally published under what we call a Creative Commons license, which is something that allows people to remix or share depending on the type of license, and to do so without fear that you're infringing on somebody's trademark or somebody's proprietary information. And there's many of these resources out there, and there's many new ones every single year. I've been able to incorporate open educational textbooks in 3 of my classes fully and a 4th class partially. I have to use one, standard textbook that goes along with that class. But yeah, I've found it to be a really empowering experience. I know many professors who feel that what's out there is not to their standards or their quality. But I encourage you, if it's not up to your standards or your quality, you can always remix it yourself so that you could incorporate more resources in there that you may like. That way it's more tailored to your class. But I know that's a lot of work, so bear with me. But I'd like to give you a short introduction to the idea of where we can find some OER resources, that's Open Educational Resources, OER, and also why you might want to consider them. Why you might want to consider them, and I'll link to the report below, was this report on how much textbooks cost. And of course, many of us know textbooks are not cheap. The average one that they report on here is $121 per book. And of course, you think about most students are taking 5 classes a semester, sometimes 6. That can certainly add up. And that's an average cost of a book. That's not a statistics textbook in there or a biology textbook that's going to have more costs associated with that special printing. But this part really caught my eye in the report. And pardon me for reading it on camera and looking silly doing so, and I'm going to read from this. It says, the survey results indicated that low-income and underrepresented minority students were less likely to take advantage of cost-saving options for purchasing textbooks. And I was just like, well, why, right? I mean, there's always cheaper versions that you can get that are not at the bookstore, right? Well, they say this finding mirrors that of another analysis from 2016 showing that first-generation textbooks on average pay 17% more for their textbooks. Here's the kicker. Financial aid recipients are often eligible to receive bookstore vouchers, but they are usually only redeemable at the college bookstore, limiting students' ability to comparison shop for lower prices. And that just set me back. I feel like I've been lucky enough to be somebody who can do comparison shopping. When I was in school as an undergraduate and a graduate student, and of course now as a doctoral student, it's something that I just consider normal-place. I just consider commonplace. But seeing that kind of took me back and gave me a little reality check, right? I've been using OER because I knew it made things more affordable, but I didn't realize that I was making it more affordable because I didn't realize I was making it most affordable for the group that actually most needs it in some ways. I was really kind of just taken back by this. I'll link to the full report below, but essentially it says that there's a huge financial incentive for universities to use OER resources. And it lays out a financial plan for why it's good for the university and not just good for the student, although it does have many facts about why it's good for the students as well. I'm going to give you 2 links to my favorite OER resources. The first one is oercommons.org. Tremendous resource. There's things here from every field. It's easily searchable. It's a really great starting place. The second one is actually a throwback. It's Merlot. If you guys haven't seen Merlot in a couple of years, Merlot's got an amazing assortment of open educational resources. I feel like they were some of the pioneers in OER, and they kind of went out of style for a while perhaps, but they've got some tremendous resources. A lot of people think of them as just a K-12 resource, but there's stuff in there for higher education as well. Like I said, I have found a couple of the textbooks that I've used for my classes on OER Commons, and I find that they've been really easy to download, easy for students to cite from and access. I tend to download them as PDFs and incorporate them directly into my classes so that students read a chapter a week within every module. But there's a variety of ways you can use OER that's most useful for your particular class needs. Additionally, and if you need a more comprehensive guide than either of those two, I'm going to link to a library guide that has got just a tremendous, almost overwhelming amount of open educational resource sites. So if you're one of those people who maybe 5 years ago went looking for an open educational resource and couldn't find anything, now it's time to go take a new look, because there's so much out there. It's almost mind-boggling to think that what you're looking for is not out there in some form. So I hope that you take a moment to go check out at least one of these sites and consider it for use in a future semester. Thank you for tuning in today, and I'll see you in a future week.